Hello and thank you for joining me. My name is Michael Bartnick from Software Solutions Group. Today we'll be going over part 3 in the Dynamics GP Navigation series. Let's start off and we're going to talk about reporting and then also some shortcuts and tips and tricks with navigating in Dynamics GP. To start off the reporting discussion, I'm already in the financial series in GP. I'm going to print a trial balance for today's example. So there's reporting in all of the different series in GP. You'll have the reports navigation pane. I've selected trial balance and it pulls open this trial balance report screen, which anytime you open up a GP report, you will get an options report screen that looks very similar to this. So you'll have a reports drop down. So in this case, for the trial balance report, there's a detailed summary, worksheet, quick detail, and summary version. I'm going to select to print the summary version, and you can see I already have an option in here that's called demo. I can create additional report options, or I can select one of the existing options and click insert to put it in this list over here. The problem with doing that most of the time though is that the GP requires you to have a report option set up, and that report option has the parameters saved on it when you create it. So if you wanted to print for a specific time period, you would always need to modify those options. So I'm going to show you how to first create a different report option. And the one requirement on creating a report option is that you have to have a name for it. So I'm just going to use an example here of training option. At this point, I can print the report, but I'm going to select a couple of parameters. I'll include posting accounts, and I could set a date range if I wanted to. You can see down here I have this ranges drop down. I can select different options to filter my data. So if I only wanted a trial balance for my administration, I can do that by adding a range to my restrictions. In the bottom right hand corner, I have my destination options, so I can change this from printer to screen so you can see it at home. I'll click OK. I can save my options, and you see it blanks out the screen for me as if I wanted to create another option. Or from this report option screen, I can go ahead and click the print button to print my trial balance, and you see it pops up on the screen here, which I'll maximize. I'll make a little bit larger so you can see it at home. This document could then be sent to your printer. You could email it off, or simply close it and rerun it if your parameters were incorrect. So I'm going to close this out. So you can have as many report options as you need. So I can go to my report options and insert it into this list and click the print button on this screen if I choose to, or I can always just, now that I have this saved, click the modify button, which allows me here on the trial balance report option screen to change my parameters to include inactive accounts, for example, take out my restriction, and print the report. So you can see my report looks a little different now. So the thing that most people normally get hung up on is just you have to have a report option in order to run any report. Now, similar to running reports in GP, there's a concept called word templates. So if you have, there's word templates available for various reports, think invoices, order confirmations, batch listings, available in Dynamics GP. What word templates allow you to do is print a report, and it generates off into a Word type document, which has a little bit nicer formatting, and these can be emailed out to your customers or vendors automatically through GP. So instead of hitting a print button, you hit an email button, for example, on the sales transaction entry screen, and it will email directly to your customer. So to get you an example of a Word template, I'm going to come to the sales transactions entry screen. I'm going to select an invoice, and I'll hit print because I won't be emailing it today. I'll select invoices. I'll hit my print button, and you can see my report type is set to template because I'm using the Word template, and I've set that as my default option as opposed to standard. Standard is the traditional type GP report, which we saw earlier. So you'll notice the difference in the formatting when I open up this screen. And this Word template can also have your company's logo appear up here in the top corner. So you can see it looks different as this is in a Word document as opposed to the screen that we saw earlier. Next, now that we're done with printing, I'd like to show you a couple tips and tricks to make your user experience with GP a little bit nicer. The first thing to show you is that you have user preferences in your Microsoft Dynamics GP dropdown. If you come right down towards the end, select user preferences. These are specific to whatever account you're logged into in GP. So I'm currently logged in as the SA user. So I'm seeing the SA user's user preferences. This horizontal scroll arrows, that option is to allow you to have a scroll bar within a grid if your field is quite long. Default report option of printer or screen. An entry key of tab or return. So in some older systems, DOS-based systems, the enter key is used as a way to navigate through fields. So you can select to use return. The default is tab, but if you're coming from an older system, for some users it might be easier to use that return key. Down here, the window command display of action pane strip, or menu bar. That is this refers to how the ribbon bar displays on your Dynamics GP screens. So if we've seen through my demonstrations, I've had the ribbon bar displayed. You can change it down to a more traditional menu bar if you change this option. Your default sales document type, you can change that between the different sales document types. For more information on those, please see our session about sales order processing. You can have your processes distributed either locally or remotely. Your mapping option, as we saw in a previous session about how GP can open up an Internet Explorer window with your customer's address or vendor's address mapped. It can use this option. These are the different options it can use. This option for reminders, which we'll see this again shortly. Any reminders that you set up for yourself when you log into GP, when you go into your home page, your reminders will display what's on this screen, so you can change these reminders. You can change the dates or the number of days before GP reminds you. If you choose this display as a queue, there will be a little icon in your reminder page. So I'll do that now so we can see that later. And you can create new custom reminders from this screen. So if I hit the new button and create a new one, I can modify an existing one or remove a reminder. So I'll click new, and I could say remind me when the number of records is greater than or equal to a particular number based on a smart list favorite, as an example. Also from this screen, you can get to your task list, which is going to be available in your home page as well. You can also create a new task here. If I choose now to go to display, this is the default of how your GP screens are going to display. So your link fields, which we have up here, will appear with a blue color and an underline font. I suggest leaving that the same. Your required fields, you can have them marked to show up for you. So if there's fields on a screen, so example on a customer card, you have to have the customer name and customer ID entered in. So I suggest having these as font color of red and font style of bold so they stick out for you. Click OK. Autocomplete down here is when you're typing in GP, you may have noticed when I've been typing into the screens, it automatically suggests records for me based on what I've typed before. So I can turn this on or off. I can tell GP to remove unused entries after X amount of days, and what total amount I should store per field, because it starts to add up in the database. If you end up having a bunch of suggestions for fields that you don't use or for records that you don't use anymore, you can click the remove entries option to remove the suggestions, and then it'll start accumulating new suggestions as you type and process in GP. I skipped over password because right now it's grayed out because I'm logged in as SA. I cannot change the SA password, but for any other user, this is the way to change your password. You come to this user preferences, select the password button, which would open up a separate change password screen. I just can't show you as the SA user. Lastly, on the user preferences, workflow delegation. If you have workflow turned on, this is the screen you would go to set up a vacation or to delegate your task to someone else for a set amount of time. So if you're going on vacation for a week and you want to assign your task to somebody else in the organization, workflow will automatically look to see if you have this delegation set up ahead of time. So those are your user preferences. I'd like to also go back to talking about the home page a little bit, which we mentioned in our first session, that this is the landing page always when you log into GP. You can modify this home page. So I have my different panels on the home page. You can modify it a couple of different ways. So if I'm looking at my to-dos, which I'll expand by clicking the maximize button, I can create new reminders by clicking the new reminders button, which opens up the same reminder preferences screen that we were looking at earlier to modify our reminders. I can also go to my tasks down here to create a new task, which opens up our task list where I can create my new task and give it a name, a due date, a status, and assign it to myself. And also link it to a specific window in GP. So if there's a task, which is to run a report or to do a particular type of transaction, I can link directly to that task. So for example, if I have to go create a bank transaction as my task, I can link to the task. And save that. Now it appears in my list. If I come back and refresh my home page, I have my example task. When I click on the link, it opens it up, and I can link to my bank transaction entry screen. Also now, because earlier we modified the reminders screen to show as a queue for one of our reminders. The queue, this is an example of a queue. It gives me a little icon when I have my reminders set to display as a queue. I can click the help button here if I need more information on customizing that area. I'll minimize my to-do screen, and just like any other navigation panel in GP, I can move these around by dragging and dropping. The next one I want to go to is going to be to the right here, the connect. So the connect requires an internet connection. This provides you with links with information about Microsoft Dynamics GP to different blog sites, the customer source where you can log in, because it'll take you to a separate Internet Explorer screen when you click on that link. And it's useful for getting more information about Dynamics GP. Down to the bottom left-hand quadrant, we have our My Reports section. So the My Reports, if you have to go to various locations in GP to navigate to find the reports that you run, you can add them all to your home page, so you just have one place to go to. You can manually add them by clicking the Add Reports button and click Manually Add Reports, or click or select have it automatically add reports that are specific to the work you do. So if I click OK, it prompts me. It opens up my report list screen, where I can manually add GP reports, Excel reports, or SSRS reports. I can also go directly to from a report. If I run a report, for example, the summary trial balance we were looking at earlier, if I have the report options screen open, I can click the My Reports to add this to the My Reports section on my home page. Also, from any GP window or report, I can click the File, Add to Shortcuts to add it as a shortcut in my GP. So we'll see that when we go back to our home page now, that what we have on the My Reports, my Summary Training option report that I created earlier in our session, and it runs the report for me with the parameters that are set in that report option. And I clicked it a couple times. Also, another thing to point out with reports, whenever you have the preview screen open for a report, it won't run you can't run another report. So always be cognizant if you have the preview screen open and you think your reports aren't opening, it might it's because of that, because you have the preview screen open. So always be aware of your reports. You can check to see if you have reports open or processes running if you go to Microsoft Dynamics GP and select the process monitor. And you would see a process being displayed in the middle of this screen. The last area to show you on the homepage is this quick links area. So quick links allow you to, just like my reports, have a link to a screen in GP. So you can create a quick link. I'm going to maximize this portion of the area page by clicking the little change details pencil icon to create a new quick link, so we can see all of the existing quick links that we have available currently. We can modify the quick link if we wanted to change the name on it. We can move it up and down. And if I select add, I can add either a new GP window, a new GP navigation list, a link to a web page, or a link to an external program or file. Most commonly, you would select Microsoft Dynamics GP window, which opens up this additional screen where I can go and I can find the window that I want to add. So if I wanted to add the journal entry screen, I can go to Transactions, hit General, OK. It's down at the bottom, and I'll say, actually, I want to call it Journal Entries. Click OK. I'm going to move that up towards the top. All the way. And hit OK. Now when I come back to my home page after it's been refreshed, you'll see I have the General Journal Entries quick link available to me. I open that up and it goes directly to the GL transaction entry screen. So that has been it for today's session. Thank you for joining us. Again, my name is Michael Bartnick from Software Solutions Group.